Tonight, Chris and Bona are going to come up. Every year for the past 3 years, we've been doing the O'Reilly Google Open Source Awards. Really, it's O'Reilly Open Source Awards.
So we started doing the Google O'Reilly Open Source Awards after there had been a couple of years break between a former O'Reilly Open Source Award and we wanted to specifically recognize people who had done significant individual things in open source and free software. This was partly because I had this thing about recognizing individuals in open source rather than the projects. And luckily, the Open Source Awards tomorrow will be getting their project-oriented awards, so that's very, very good. Yes? Oh, once we use the podium mics, I'm not allowed to. Okay. Goodbye, microphone of evil. Okay. So why are we focusing on individuals? And it's not just because it's easier to point out individuals when we look at projects. Because we felt that there were a lot of people that we knew. I mean, nothing personally against Mark, but we knew Mark. You know, we know Jim, and we know a lot of the people who get these awards and these recognitions and these deserving accolades. You know, we know about James Lipsky's mom on her website. And, you know, we, sorry. No, well, I mean, the second part of the phrase was, get people laid or watch others get laid. So if you actually read the James Lipsky quote in full, you know. But let's continue. We wanted to recognize people. We wanted to recognize people who had done interesting things and things that were, you know, done even sometimes at a personal cost. You know, and so you might be saying, but Chris, how do these people get discovered?
How do these people get discovered?
How do we find our nominees and select them?
So we have a open nomination process. We post it publicly, and anyone is able to nominate for the award.
Yes.
Then we have a committee of people who are
former judges, former winners, current judges, former winners of the awards, including people, you know, it's funny, we were talking about, well, who should we highlight? Well, we should highlight people who talked a lot. So, you know, people like Mark Stone, Denise Cooper on the list, Tim, Brian Bellenworth, PJ Brockwell. They all kind of suggest that person is remarkable, that person's remarkable. We bounce around the mailing list.
We spend a lot of time talking, as you might expect. It's very much like developers list.
It's like talking except for the keyboard. So yeah, it's so we did a fair amount of that, and then we came up with our winners. And then, as is our habit, we picked the categories to match the winners rather than picking the winners to match categories of the grade. So, who are our folks? So, do you want to bring up the slides? Good. So the first person, I'm going to hand the slide to you for our first one.
So, the last time I spoke with our first award winner, we spent about 2 hours talking about a new garbage collection scheme that he was implementing. And then we started looking into the code. And I have to say, one of the things that has always struck me most about him is the breadth and depth of his knowledge. Anyone would recognize him instantly as a developer's developer. So tonight we've made the world awarding him for, among other things.
Well, he is the smartest man in Australia. Right? Well, for second smartest.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, yes, we do know. He's the great Mark Simpson and the original developer of Sandler.
And still doing extensive work on Sandler.
Remarkable work. Yeah, so he's also a fellow. Well, he's done some. I mentioned earlier things at personal cost. A lot of people don't know this, but when he reverse engineered the BitKeeper protocol, there were threats of lawsuits. There was all kinds of action around this. I mean, he's very much a man of ideas, which is why we have selected Andrew Truman as the selection.
I don't think he's actually here tonight.
No, he's not. But, yeah. So, Andrew, we'll shift it to him. We don't have anyone to actually accept his name, I don't believe.
Actually, Jeremy slipped through something and he sent home to the UK.
Yeah, that's my fault. The person was just accept for my sent to London for another thing. So let's keep going.
Thanks for more.
So this is the one that I really want to present. So I spoke also against about the personal cost of caring about open source software. This particular winner, and I'm going to accept the award for him because I have great admiration for Harold. Harold Welty is the winner of this award. He runs GPL-violations.org with a number of volunteers. And their job is a very particular one. When somebody breaks a license, breaks the GPL in a device or in a piece of software, Harold and his team, they look at the claim, and then they'll even take it to the point where they'll sue somebody in German court over it. This is when you hear about lawsuits against it. This is generally the organization that's doing it. You're saying, wow, that's pretty extreme. Isn't that the church away from free software? What you don't realize about this organization is how careful they are and how many chances and how much they're willing to work with the organizations that they find that have broken the GPL, often out of ignorance and not out of malice. And so it is this diligent work that has led for him to receive this award. Speaking of which, the award is not just the statue, it's also $5,000. So for his claim, so it's fairly significant. So he isn't here, but I'm sure he'll hear about this, so a big hand of applause. And then for our next award, it's going to be presented by Leslie Hoffman, who I had the good fortune of working with.
So when we received this nomination for the Best Contributor Award, immediately I thought, wow, this is a great nominee, just because this person has been so incredibly inspirational to me, just watching her actions on our summer code mailing lists, all the encouragement she does to new contributors to open source, not just to her own personal project, but also just to people who are complete newcomers, and the way she's so open and caring and helps people find their way and gives them guidance. And her contributions to the Drupal project are numerous, but her contributions to the summer code community that she actually started contributing to Drupal through are just as enormous. So for the Best Contributor Award, Angela Byron. And there she is. Yay!
Thank you very much. Wow. So I want to thank Google, without whom I wouldn't have really got my start in open source. I'd like to thank the Drupal community for really kind of, giving me a lot of support while I was new and continuing to give me support. I'd like to thank my bosses, Lullabot, for flying me out here. Thanks! And for everything you guys do. And my family, and just everybody. Yay!
Our next award is Best Community Amplifier. And the winner is someone who has started or inspired more communities than I can possibly list. But a few of the most well-known ones are Spread Firefox, Barcamp, Microformats, and I happen to know he's involved in yet another one just starting up now. The winner of this award is Kristen Cena. Chris is here tonight. We'll pass the award on to him. The final award, which will be presented by Chris.
Oh, something happened. Oh, there it goes. Cool. It's high technology. It's, advanced. Well, so actually, I'm going to tell a funny story first. This is a device that's created using GCC for its firmware. GCC is everywhere. That has nothing to do with this award. This is a completely over-engineered piece of equipment. I don't know if you know this, but the way you sync up this device with its receiving unit is you point the laser at that little sensor of the receiving unit, and it syncs up the radio signal that it uses using the laser, which is ridiculous. That's all I want to say. Doesn't mean that I can use it properly. So our next award is for the Best Education Enabler. A lot of you have probably raised your hands which one, but I'm going to keep talking. Mark mentioned multiple suppliers being important for the proper functioning of our industry and even our society. This is no more true than in the world of educational suppliers, and it's an area where open source ends up solving a problem more often than not. If you look at the world of education management software, there is a very large dominant player, and much like another very large dominant player has gone to suppliers and gone to customers and threatened them and said, if you use Project X, Y, or Z, we're going to sue you for patent infringement. Right? And so when the education institutions got together to form another project, which is not one we're highlighting today, called Sakai, they were jumped upon by this corporation's lawyers. And it was a bad scene, a very, very bad scene. And so Sakai was strangled, and they were very much kept inhibited by this threatening posture from the larger neutral player. Meanwhile, people in the open source world said, this is a problem we can probably solve. And so Martin Douglas, whose name I'm sure is totally butchered, decided to start Moodle to manage this problem and to create an open source tool that could be used to help manage colleges, universities, classes, you name it, any education efforts that you might imagine. So, accepting for him will be Brian Williams. Brian, are you here? That's good, great. So come on up.
On behalf of Martin, he asked me to convey his heartfelt thanks to Google and O'Reilly for this award.
It's 6 pieces. Thank you.
Deeply regrets not being here tonight. He actually lives in Perth, Australia. We just had him over here a few weeks ago for Moodle Developers Conference in San Francisco, but he did say he'll be here next year, and wants to convey again his deep thanks to Google and O'Reilly for recognizing this award. Thank you very much.
That's all for me. Anything you'd like to say?
When you see the nominations call next year, we would love to have all of your input on the great individuals that make up the open source community movement, the revolution within their politics. Thank you.